Hey, I'm Janet Johnson. I'm here today with Rich Frieder. He's the owner of LearningRx. Today we're going to talk a little bit about test taking. Test taking is something that all students need major skills with and major help with because it's not an easy thing. I don't even like taking tests. How about you, Rich?
No, it can be stressful.
Yes, it is. It's very stressful, and I know, like, my kids right now are currently going through test taking. So let's talk a little bit more about what it takes for a student to do really well on a test.
Yeah, good question. So there's really two components that are required to do well with test taking. One would be having the skills to take a test well. The second would be test taking strategies. So test taking strategies would be things like how you should study, like most effective ways to study, ways to actually take the test, to maximize the likelihood you'll get the right answer, strategies for answering multiple choice questions or true and false questions, things like that. Those are strategies and those are important, but the starting point is always skills, meaning a lot of kids have good strategies for test taking, but they lack the underlying skills to consistently do well. So for example, I'll call out a couple of skills. One of the most important is long-term memory. So there are so many students we work with who, by the time they get to junior high or high school, they're really motivated, but their long-term memory isn't strong. And so there's this dynamic where they might study all week, and then they get to the test, and then blank out. They cannot remember what they studied. It's just they're not able to retain it. Like we have a student we work with whose long-term memory was in like the 5th percentile. He's a great kid, really motivated. He told me he can study all week or the night before, and it doesn't matter for him because he gets the same test result. And we took his long-term memory from the 5th to the 73rd percentile, and then he finished his high school career doing much better on tests, and he was on the honor roll. He graduated. So long-term memory is really critical. Another skill, Janet, is processing speed. Processing speed is how quickly we're able to think and process information. So if that's not strong, the dynamic there would be where everyone's upturning their paper in on the test, except that student. We've all been there, and that doesn't feel very good. And a lot of times then kids rush through it, make careless mistakes. If those two skills are both low, it can really start to result in test anxiety, where kids just, they're scared about blanking out on the test. They're afraid of the time component because they're used to running out of time, and it can be this really stressful thing. It almost psychs them out before the test is even taken. So the skills are really critical, and that's where we hugely help. I mean, it's fun because in the last month, I've had a couple students who have taken the ACT test. One of them did much better than expected, and he's now shooting out a bunch of resumes or applications to colleges. And other students went up 4 points since starting his training because we're focused on giving him the skills to do it. Then the other component is strategies, and those are, like I said, once those skills are there, then those strategies are more effective. But what happens is a lot of families try to focus on, well, let's figure out strategies, and you're doing that with low skills, and it might help a little bit, but you're just still going to hit up against the issue of struggling on tests every time, or having to put so much time in to retain the information because long-term memory is low that it's just not sustainable as kids get into high school or college. So there's a lot of things you can do to help with test taking, but it has to start with the skill side. And then there's also strategies that you can employ as well.
Wow! Well, it's so important. It's just amazingly important, and I think what you just said makes so much sense. And what we want to do is we want to mention the link. We want people to click on the link to learn more information about what you just discussed. And you can find that link in the email if you're catching this on email, or if you are on YouTube, we will put this link in the description. All you need to do is click and head there. Thanks a lot for your time, Rich, and teaching us a little bit about test taking.
Sounds good, Janet. Thank you.
Thank you.